This UCSD-TV program is a presentation of University of California Television for educational and non-commercial use only.
Ja, okay. Here. Dude, what is up with you?
And you know, like 5 more people will see you. So the leaning on this is great. Use the downstage edge. I come to opera directing from the world of modern dance. I was known primarily as a performer with Bill T. Jones' Arnie Zane Dance Company. 4 years ago, when I got the assignment to direct Salome, it was my first directing assignment, there was a bit of panic because I'm an abstract artist. I make dances that are about movement invention, responding to beautiful or interesting music, and using space in an architectural or a fluid way. I do not imitate scenes from life. I don't, try to push a narrative forward in my dances. So it was a new challenge. Stay over until she finishes singing. I think you're getting up a little bit before everyone else.
Oh, okay.
It's just like 3 seconds, but.
Is this you? That's beautiful.
Singers. No, I'm not warmed up. It was a new challenge that I sort of relished, the idea of going deeper into character. Martha Graham is famous for saying, "Movement never lies." And that's always been interesting to me. And when it comes to directing, singing actors who are playing characters, I always start from how do they move, or what are some nervous tics. Salome does something interesting where she plays with her hair when she's considering something or nervous. So as a choreographer coming into being an opera director, it was how do these people move first?
Working with Sean has enabled me as a singing actor to bring a whole other dimension to my portrayal of Salome because of his specificity, because of his ability to understand what is called for to be physical on stage. And it is a very physical role. There's just no way to get around it. And it's so much better working with someone who understands the physical body, how it works best, and gives me things to do that help me to sing.
There's this image that's the photograph, head to head and stuff, and there's also like rolling with it, playing with the eyes. I mean, all this, I'm sure you have stuff too. I believe that the art is in the details. Some people say God is in the details, which is an interesting notion for Salome, as it's a story right out of the Bible. But I'm also interested in collaborating with the performer. And for me, collaborating is letting each other lead. So I will ask an actor, a singing actor, what do you make of this? Or how do you want to respond to this? Or how do you want to play this? And oftentimes their idea will spark an idea that I will have, and it will lead to what I would call a hybrid idea. So that's collaboration right there in action. It's going to play, I can tell. They come to the show, they come to the roles having done them before, having some firm ideas about how they believe their characters should behave, would act, would respond. So that's exciting to me. It's not a democracy. I'm the boss, I'm the director, and I make the final decision, but I do like to give the performers a bit of freedom and to sort of meet them halfway in terms of how things will be portrayed. And finding what I would call filagree, the tiny little minute details, is always an interesting collaboration. I need a little bit more looking at the moon and maybe a little gesture or something. Just because we do it earlier. You have the glass. The moon is like the moon. Yeah, just give me a little exposition there. Yeah, that's good. Just that focus. Never less than that.
I like the production because it's clean, and you're able to see the story, and you're able to see the interaction between the characters. It keeps it clean that way, I think. But you still get a taste of the time period.
Ich werde ihn nicht in eure Hände geben, ist ein Heilgemann, ist ein Mann, den Gott geschaut. Das kann nicht sein, seid die Propheten in
I thought about who was making art in 1905, and I thought about Gustav Klimt and Egon Schiele first and foremost. And I went and looked at their paintings, and that made me think who was making dances then. I'm a choreographer, and I thought about Loie Fuller and Isadora Duncan and a very young Ruth St. Denis. So the visual art became very important to me and certainly informed the approach. We've set the opera in a non-specific modern setting and in sort of an abstract non-space, but Bruno Schwengel, who designed the sets and costumes, gave me a very beautiful golden frame that we can set the action in. It also made me think of a lot of religious art. I looked at a lot of paintings of Salome through the last couple of centuries. She's been represented by a lot of different painters. So this idea of composition and a painterly kind of a style really informed what I did as a director and how I moved and blocked the show. We even go so far as to quote a Wyeth painting called Christina's World. There's two moments when Salome is on the ground looking upstage, and I said to our brilliant soprano, Lisa Lindstrom, I said, show me the poetry in your back. This is a wonderful image, and it's very strong. We jokingly call it backting, acting with your back. So there's been many painters who have influenced people, painters you might know and painters you might not know. Everything from the art of the period when the opera premiered to historic and religious artworks to something as recent as a Wyeth painting. The first conductor I worked with on Salome was the brilliant Stephen Lord. And he said to me, you have to remember that Salome is like a 14 or 15-year-old kid alive today that maybe has a gun in the inner city and shoots that gun and doesn't think about the fact it could go through a window and kill an infant or, shoot some elderly person walking down the street. It's just the power of the moment, and she's someone who wants what she wants when she wants it.
In the beginning, I think it's something that she's compelled directly by him. His presence, certainly his voice. We hear it offstage first. It's such a sound because it's coming from this cavern, this cistern. She's never heard that before, and then she sees him. She's certainly never seen anybody looking like him before. And I think after his ultimate rejection of her, her unraveling occurs because it's the thing she cannot have. I think she has no clue what really happens outside the palace walls. I think she has no idea of the political ramifications of why John the Baptist is there, why the Jews are there, why the Nazarenes are there, why are all these people there? They're just all shouting all the time, and she even says that in the beginning. She says, oh, those Romans, I hate their language, I hate the way they talk. And the Jews are in there and they're ripping up papers and they're talking about, I hate all of that stuff. Why can't we just stand here in the moonlight? It's just so beautiful. I really think she's that sheltered. I think she doesn't But I think within that shelteredness, there are a few screws loose. And I think that is definitely grounded in that household, in the crimes perpetrated by her mother, by her stepfather, by all of those that are around her. And she has learned that behavior. So she's not sheltered from that, but she doesn't understand that not everybody else's house isn't like hers. I think that's more to the point. So I try to find places to interject a sense of innocence. I think the most gripping part of the whole evening for me is when she's singing to a severed head and it finally dawns on her, oh my God, I've had somebody murdered. I had this beautiful man, this mysterious man, murdered to try and be powerful like all the grown-ups around me. And that's the most devastating part of the whole night for me.
Before I decided to study music, I wanted to be an archaeologist. And the first time I did this role, I did a lot of research in it, and subsequent portrayals, I also continued my research on it, and especially the Baptist and that time period in Palestine. He was connected to the Essenes, and who were considered on the mystical side of Judaism. And I think they lived in a duality. They lived in the settlement of Qumran, which I've been there in Israel, and you see this place, you sit there, and there's nothing. There's the Dead Sea and just the wind blowing. And you can feel closer to any sort of spiritual connection that you have there because there are no distractions. That said, I try to incorporate what I saw and learned about the character into this, so that he's more than just a symbol. He's flesh and blood, and I try to think of what or the situation of John the Baptist being in this cistern and hearing this cacophony every night that he's there with all these parties and everything and whatnot, as opposed to his life in the desert, what that must have done to him as well. He has a mission. I mean, he is also, he's one who wants to show people the way, the right way, but at the same time, he's also going to point out what things are wrong, and that is a dual role that he played. And I do my best to portray that. And also the words and the texts also help that. And the music helps transition from one of those to another as well. Strauss is such a master at getting to the musical, emotional language of that you follow that and you follow the text. It does open up the character to more than just this person who is a fanatic.
I made a decision when I first took on this role that I was going to sing it, not just and act it, but I wanted to make a statement and say, okay, this is a dramatic tenor role. It is not just a character part, because I've seen the opera done where you don't even see the Herod. You almost don't notice the Herod, because it's all just blah, 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 blah. And he just runs around the stage and there's no vocal point to it. And it's just screaming and yelling, and you really don't focus on him as much. And I think with me singing it more, I think it makes you focus more on the character. But it is incredibly difficult, and I think it's what makes it so interesting for me, because it is so hard, and I love doing it. It's a lot of work, but fun, great fun. He's not, he's not a good person, but he has this almost childlike innocence that I like to play up. I'm thinking about a point when I first asked her what she wants. She says to me, "I want a silver platter." She wants a silver platter. Did you hear a silver? Isn't that adorable? But it's just this cute little thing he does. It's a silver platter, And I think it's just. And I'm going to everybody. Isn't that just adorable? So he has this little. He gets excited about little things like that, and then when he shows her the jewels, he's showing her all these jewels, and he's so excited about all these jewels. Oh, you can have this one. Oh no, but you can have that one. Oh, I have this nice one, and. He has this, it is almost like a childlike innocence to him until the end. Until the end. When Salome says, "I want the head of Johanna," it scares him to death. Because he knows if he does this, something bad's going to happen to him.
I knew one of the reasons that I got this directing assignment was that there was a pretty big choreography component in it. Salome does a 10-minute dance, a very famous dance, the Dance of the Seven Veils. So before I started thinking about concept or where we would set the opera, I thought I'd better make a damn good Dance of the Seven Veils. So it was my way into the piece. And in thinking about that 1905 premiere date, I wanted to pay homage to what I would call my great-great-great-grandmothers, the fierce, independent female dancers and choreographers who, like Salome, had a voice, took great risks, were very confrontational. So I imagine Salome, maybe she had some of these women as her dance teachers, and she loves to dance. Salome is performative. She likes to perform, show off in a way. If she was alive today, I think she'd be lip-syncing to Beyonce records and, you know, singing along to Christina Aguilera on the radio. So I wanted the piece to be very performative. I wanted to quote some of these female choreographers who were making dances in 1905. And I wanted to make my singer, my soprano, look amazing. When you go leg over, and you do this,
Yeah.
maybe there's a little
Oh, sure.
belly dance. And then what leg goes back, Betsy?
Yep.
And then just a little flourish, filagree,
Okay.
bossy. I think Salome is supposed to be 14. We've made her about 16, but a very immature and selfish 16-year-old, discovering the power of her body. She's always been fascinated with her power over people. She's, you know, treated like a princess. But now, in addition to that, there's the power of this beautiful young body that she's just discovering. And certainly the dance wants to be an expression of that power. Come down here and have a moment of, ooh, what dances will I do? I'll do the Ruth St. Denis, and I'll do the Martha Graham, and work the skirt and stuff. Then go get the boys, and you can stay here even and call them. Dancer boys, come to Salome with some swagger. Get me the sari, get me the red chiffon, get me the crinkly gold, blah, 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 go.
The dance, I think, is potentially one of the best dances I've ever seen, and certainly the best I've ever done.
Hurry, hurry, hurry.
It's an intuitive piece. That's, again, one of the gifts of working with a choreographer, director. It makes sense. That's something also that Strauss does as a composer. It makes sense, what he writes, and that's one of the things that we find as singers. When things make sense, they go into your body easier.
The orchestration was the principal thing because it was so virtuoso. Instruments were required to do things they'd never been asked to do before, all sorts of magical effects. And the other thing, of course, is the harmony. Now, he stood at this very curious moment in musical history when the whole laws of tonal harmony were to be broken by Schoenberg. But he was still of a tonal variety, that is, all his harmonies, or at least most of his harmonies, are recognizable in the traditional tonal system. Sometimes they're used in a slightly unusual way, and there are various moments, the bits when you get Strauss padding, as it were, often go off the wall harmonically and you can't quite make sense of them. But never forget that at the end of Salome, where he quotes the big tune in a newly harmonized manner, the chord comes out there, which I suppose is considered by theorists to be one of the most remarkable chords ever written, because it uses bitonality in the middle of this tune, which sends absolute shivers down your spine when you hear it, right at the end. By the use of a fairly sophisticated group of, I wouldn't say them exact, I suppose they are motives really, yes, motives, musical motives. Strauss can build up a web of musical construction of considerable complexity. Strauss always said, in the heat of controversy about his enormous orchestration, that there is absolutely no problem in Salome, provided the interpreters obey exactly the dynamics he's written in his score. Unfortunately, this is simply not true. You do have to make a lot of adjustments in order to let the singers through. And it's not easy. You have to do quite a lot of work on it. I'm not sure that I shall succeed even here, because one needs a lot of time. We shall have a jolly good shot. It's not just the shock factor, it's full of incredibly beautiful music. Amazing music, and colourful, and it's a bloody good piece, that's all. As simple as that.
My mom saw me do it at the Met, and I used my own head in that one. She's not an opera goer, so she didn't fully understand how things happened, but she thought that the opera went on too long after they killed me. So she wanted me to give the note to the director to shorten it.